back to the Off the Dome pod with your host Tyrese, aka Ty Knows It All. And the NBA season, we're about a third of a way through the NBA season so far. And I must say, the excitement has been immense because there's been a lot of surprises so far that nobody probably could have really predicted going into the NBA season, which makes sports great, of course. And a lot of predictions have been given from a lot of different people and analysts alike about who's going to win player awards as well as who's going to be playing for the championship at the end of the year. So in today's video, I want to give out some of my favorites on who I think will win awards at the end of the year, as well as who's going to be playing for the NBA title come June. Now, we're only going to be focusing on player awards such as MVP, Most Improved, Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and stuff like that, etc. I'm gonna stay away from the Coach of the Year award, but I'm also gonna give out who I think will also be in the running for each award in each category. But before the video gets started, I just want to make sure to remind you guys to go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button for me down below, as it will really help this channel grow as we post more content in the future. The first award that I want to talk about is Most Improved, and this award is usually skewed in a lot of ways because a lot of players can be nominated from year to year given the jumps that a lot of young players make in the league. But for me, I looked at guys that have the opportunity to make their first All-Star game appearance, and with that being said, Tyrese Maxey is a player that I give a slight advantage to so far this season. Now, I must admit, I wasn't as high on Tyrese Maxey coming into the season as a lot of people were, just because I didn't think he could take this kind of a leap in 1 year, and clearly I was wrong. It's also clear that he benefited more from James Harden leaving than anybody else on that Philadelphia 76ers roster, and he's taken full advantage of it as he is averaging a full 6 points, 3 assists, and 2 more free throw attempts per game this season than he did last year. And for a player that has such a high usage rate, he's only averaging 1.5 turnovers a game, which is extraordinary for any league guard in this league. Tyrese Maxey's speed off the pick and roll has been exceptional, and his ability to get into the lane has worked wonders for this Philadelphia 76ers offense and has created more opportunities that James Harden simply just couldn't create like he used to back in his Houston days. Not to mention, for the 6'1", 6'2"-ish guard, he's 6th in the NBA in fast break points per game and is averaging a whopping 10.7 points per game in the paint, which is just extraordinary for any guard, let alone a guard his size. I think the Most Improved player race is going to be a closely contested battle the whole year, and that's because this player has really taken the leap necessary for him to even be put in the conversation. And I think we'll give Maxey a real run for his money, and we'll have a real debate at the end of the year about who should win this award. Alperen Sengun has been amazing this year, and I don't think too many people are paying attention to just how good he's been this season and how statistically comparable his numbers have been to a player similar to his size that also took a year 3 jump in their career, which is Nikola Jokic. Now, I wouldn't say he's the player that Nikola Jokic is, or even going to become the player that Nikola Jokic is, but you just have to acknowledge that there are a lot of similarities between both of their games. Jokic averaged 18 points a game, 6 assists, and 10 rebounds in his third year. And if you take a look at Alperen Sengun's number, he's averaging 21 points per game, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists. Now, he doesn't quite have the range Jokic has from 3, but just his ability to pass and be the hub of the offense is exceptional for a guy his size. And if you take a look around today's NBA, I think that's becoming a prime point. And a lot of teams' offense is just to be able to run their offense through their big. And now that he has Ime Udoka as a coach, which Ime has been able to put him in positions to use his skill set and further use him as he should have been used throughout his career. And he has the Rockets firmly in the play-in discussion and could possibly sneak his way into the top 6 of the West. And I don't think anybody should be surprised by that at all, just by the way he's been playing and how he's been leading this Rockets team. And if you take a look At his last 6 games, he's been averaging 29 points, 11 rebounds, and 6 assists. I mean, just pure dominance. And I'm curious to see how he further progresses this season, and I'm expecting his numbers to take a little bit of another jump as he continues to grow comfortable into the role that he's been given as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if he snuck his way onto the All-Star team as well. The next award category that I want to talk about is Sixth Man of the Year. And initially going into the season, I would have put Immanuel Quickley as my favorite. And judging how the season has played out, I've also would have put Immanuel Quickley as the favorite to win this award. But because he just recently got traded from the Knicks to the Raptors, it'll be interesting to see how his role changes from here on out throughout the rest of the season. Just because he started the last couple of games that he's played for the Raptors, so it'll be interesting to see if he even comes off the bench anymore. But I also think Tim Hardaway has done a nice job in his role off the bench, which now makes him my new favorite to win this award. Now, he's been the perfect complement to the duo of Luka and Kyrie with his ability to score off the ball, which is most important, and be that catch and shoot threat that the Mavs need to be successful. On the season, Tim Hardaway is averaging 17 points a game, 3 rebounds, and about an assist a game. Right now, he's second in the league in bench points scored with 505 points coming off the bench. And he's been able to be that third scorer on most nights that the Mavs need in order to push them over the top and help them make the deep playoff run that they're trying to make this season. But runner-ups in this category, I would have to put Malik Monk from the Sacramento Kings and Cole Anthony from the Orlando Magic, just because I've also loved the way they have been that spark, that instant offense that both the Kings and the Magic need coming off the bench. This next category that I want to talk about is Defensive Player of the Year, and my current favorite to win that award is the much maligned Rudy Gobert. But if he does win this award at the end of the year, that'll be his 4th time taking home this award in his career. Now, the Timberwolves came into last season with a lot of expectations put on them just because of all the draft compensation it took to even acquire Rudy Gobert from the Utah Jazz. But if you take a look at what the Timberwolves has been doing overall this season, I mean, you have to be impressed that they currently sit atop the Western Conference standings, and the Defensive Player of the Year award generally does go to a big man, with the exception of a few years that it hasn't. But this year, Rudy Gobert ranks number 1 in the league in defensive rating with a rating of 104. And he hasn't just been a rim protector, he's done it in various ways, which has helped the Timberwolves drastically, as now they also boast a number 1 rating in the league in defense with a defensive rating of 106. He's made the concerted effort to not just be a rim protector, but also be more mobile on his pick and roll coverage, as well as getting out to the big men that do shoot threes that do tend to pull him away from the basket. But as always, at the rim, he's averaging 2.1 blocks, as well as allowing only a 44% field goal percentage, 6 feet and in. So he's, as usual, been the dominant rim protector, but he's taken his defensive game to another level this year with just his ability to cover more around the NBA court. And if I had to put others in this category with him, I would say Anthony Davis, Bam Adebayo, and Chet Holmgren would probably be that next level, that next tier of players for me as my honorable mentions. I would also look at a player like Herb Jones from the Pelicans, but I just think right now it's Rudy Gobert's award to lose. Next award category that I want to talk about is Rookie of the Year, with my current favorite to win that award being Victor Wembanyama. Now, the Rookie of the Year award race has been a firm battle between 3 players this year, that being Chet Holmgren,
Jaime Jaquez Jr. and Victor Wembanyama himself, but I grade each rookie a little differently, and they're just held to a different standard in my book, simply off the fact that each team is asking these rookies to do a little bit of different things for the team to be successful. And generally, the Rookie of the Year award goes to the best rookie and not the best rookie playing on the best team. So for that reason, I had to go with Victor. No other team has asked their rookie to be their best player and be the reason why they win every night. While granted, the Spurs haven't been good at all, being that they only won 5 games this year. But in my opinion, it's a little bit unfair of what they're asking from their 19-year-old rookie, because this kid has to go out there and not only create shots for himself, but lead this team to victory while on most nights not even playing in a lineup with a traditional point guard like a Trey Jones that comes off the bench, unfortunately, to at least help him get easier baskets so he can be more efficient when he does score. While the other rookies in the race, Chet Holmgren and Jaime Jaquez Jr., have been a little bit more efficient, Wembanyama has still managed to average 19 points, 10 rebounds per game, and he leads the NBA in blocks per game, averaging 3.3 blocks, which is outright exceptional for a rookie to be on that type of trajectory. He also leads the NBA in games of 20 plus points and 4 plus blocks, with 10 already recorded this season, and he's become the 6th player in history to record 100 blocks in the player's first 35 games. And in his last 5 games alone, he's eclipsed the 20 plus mark in all 5, and has added 130-point game in there as well, and he's looked to be turning a little bit more of a corner efficiency wise, as he's shot over 50% in all of those games as well. The last award category I want to talk about is MVP, of course, and my favorite to win MVP is no other than the reigning MVP himself, Joel Embiid. Now, if you take a look at his numbers, the big man has been putting in work this year, as he's averaging a career best 34.8 points per game, which also leads the NBA in points per game average. He's averaging 11.8 rebounds per game, and he's averaging another career best 6.2 assists per game. Now, his play this year has solely, in my mind, put the Sixers in position to be the second best team in the Eastern Conference. And it's crazy to think that they're even in this position, considering all the drama that James Harden put the Sixers through this summer and leading into the season. But they have nobody to thank but Joel Embiid himself. Now, let's take a look at what he's actually been doing this year and how his play has taken that next step. While you may never confuse him to be a Jokic-style passer or playmaker, the career high in assists is in tune to the fact that he wanted to be more than just an isolation player this year. And if you take a look at the numbers, that's exactly what he's been doing. Embiid is allowing his points to become to him in a variety of ways, and is averaging 25% less in isolation shot attempts compared to the MVP season that he put forth last year. Now, his pick and roll opportunities haven't quite been the same this year that they've been last year, just due to the fact that he isn't playing with one of the best pick and roll guards in history, in my opinion, in James Harden. But the combination of Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid have made the Sixers very fun to watch and will be a very tough out in the playoffs, in my opinion. Now, he's been no slouch on the defensive end either as well. Like, he's averaging 2 blocks and 1 steal per game, while also netting a defensive rating of 106.7, which ranks in the top 10 in the league. So, in my opinion, MVP, if you're going to win it, you have to do it on both ends of the court. And Joel Embiid is not only putting up the numbers he should offensively, he's producing at the defensive end as well. Now, the only thing holding him back from firmly winning this award, of course, is the new stipulation that the NBA has put in, where you have to play 65 games to be eligible to win awards and make all NBA teams. So the only thing standing in a way of him winning these awards is health, in my opinion. But I would be remiss if I didn't point out what Luka has been doing this year for the Mavs and what SGA have been doing for the Thunder over there in Oklahoma City. But in my opinion, nobody has been able to surpass the pure level of dominance Embiid has been put forth this year. But if I had to make an honorable mention list, Luka and SGA would be my 2 and 3 for these awards.
Now the moment of the video you guys have probably all been waiting for. I'm going to give you my finals prediction as well as who I have representing both conferences come this June in the NBA Finals.
The sole reason why I have the Philadelphia 76ers being the Eastern Conference representee in the NBA Finals is purely based off of Joel Embiid's dominance that he's been able to display this year. I take a look at all the statistical categories that he's taken a jump in this year on both sides of the court, being the sole reason why Philadelphia has been so successful this year, especially after losing a player like James Harden. Now, I also take a look at Tyrese Maxey because he has completely surprised me this year with his superstar level jump that I did not know he was capable of. If he can remain this confident, comfortable, and efficient in his new role, I do not see too many duos in the league being better than this duo right here, especially come playoff time. And I can also foresee a Jokic and Murray style run through the playoffs for the 76ers on their way to the championship. But the key to this team will always be Tobias Harris. If he can be the consistent third option that this team needs and provide the 17 to 18 points per game that he's been able to produce in a regular season in the playoffs, I do not see too many teams being better than this team and has the potential to hoist the trophy. Another reason is that they have been effective on both ends of the floor, boasting a top 10 rating in offense and defense, and you can contribute that to the coaching of Nick Nurse, which I think was a great addition to this team and was the perfect fit and the type of coach they needed, especially after Doc Rivers' departure. And with his championship experience, I do see them leading to a championship. A lot has to break right for the 76ers, but the most important thing for them is going to be health. If Joel Embiid can do something that he's never done in his career thus far, and that's stay healthy in the playoffs, I do not see a team capable of stopping them, at least in the Eastern Conference, on their way to the NBA Finals.
Now, for the Western Conference representee, I do have, surprise, surprise, the Los Angeles.
The reason why I chose the Los Angeles Clippers as my Western Conference representee for the NBA Finals come this June is purely based off of James Harden. Now, I was very skeptical when the Clippers actually did make this trade, just because I did not think that the pieces would fit. And I was proved right for the first 6 or 7 games at least, as they weren't able to win a game actually. But over these last stretch of games, they have really came together well as a team, and it looks to me like James Harden is probably in the best position that he's ever been in his career. There's not a lot of pressure for him to succeed, and on most nights going in, especially in the playoffs, he will be the third or fourth option. Kawhi Leonard's clearly the number one, and we know what Kawhi Leonard can do as the number one option and leading a team to a championship. Paul George is clearly the number 2, so that takes a lot of pressure off James Harden, and in this role that he's playing, the point guard for them, he is the perfect playmaker and distributor that this team needs. Me personally, I didn't think Russell Westbrook would buy in the way that he's brought into this team, but him making the decision to come off the bench has been a perfect move for this team, as he now gets to be that energy glue connector, backup point guard that the bench needs, and he's also in a perfect role for this team to succeed. I want to give a huge shout out to Norman Powell, Terrence Mann, and Zubac as well, as their roles are going to be extremely important for this team come playoff time, especially if they run into a team like the Denver Nuggets. But as a team, you have to commend what the Clippers has done. And in my eyes, they look like the best team in the West. At least they're playing like the best team in the West right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if I see them in June for the finals. I think another big help for this team is having a coach like Tyronn Lue and his championship experience, guiding them and leading them. And another important factor for this team as well is that they also are a top 10 team in offensive and defensive efficiency, and teams like that typically do end up in the finals. Just like the 76ers, this matchup requires a bolt of health. The Clippers have to do something that they haven't been able to do these last couple years, and that's Kawhi Leonard has to stay healthy throughout a playoff run, and Paul George has to somehow stay healthy throughout a playoff run. But if both teams remain healthy, I do see this being the finals matchup come this June.